Thank you for joining us. Day 2 Raise. I'm extremely excited to have this panel here today. This is the second time, second time that we've done this? Yeah. We've really put this ecosystem together here at Evertrue with best-in-class partners. And I'm excited for everybody to introduce themselves. But what we want to talk about today is why we've done this, why these companies are focused on higher ed. I think when you think of places like Eventbrite, higher ed doesn't necessarily jump out, but they're focused on it. We're focused on it. And we see this as the future of higher ed engagement by, again, using best-in-class tools and bringing that all together. So I'm Jesse Bardo, co-founder, director of customer experience. I've had the pleasure of working with these guys for the last year or so, putting this together. What I want everybody to do is introduce themselves, give their quick elevator pitch on their company, and then I'll also follow up with how Evertrue very quickly is integrating that data into the platform, and then we'll continue on. And hopefully this is more of a conversation than anything else. But Jean, you want to start?
All right, thanks, Jesse. So my name is Jean Pembleton. I'm the Director of Higher Education at Hustle. But before Hustle, I was actually an annual giving officer at the University of Chicago and did major gifts at Stanford. So Hustle is a peer-to-peer texting platform. And the way that schools use us is to engage donors and volunteers and event attendees through personalized text. So it's not text to give, it's not an emergency blast system, rather it's like mail merge for text messaging.
Did anybody get a text from us about the conference? Okay, that came from Hustle. We had our intern Hannah. She hustled, was able to do it all on her own. And the way that this integrates into the Evertrue system is that we actually use the Hustle text and put it into interactions in the data, in individual profiles. It's all keyword searchable. And we had schools like Simon's Rock using this to hustle out about events in places like San Francisco. So they're texting donors, meeting them, and then meeting them for individual meetings as well. So they had major gift officers using it as well. And we'll continue to talk about it, but really excited about this. Randy?
My name is Randy Stewart. I work for Eventbrite. Eventbrite is a online events management platform. We specialize in registrations and ticketing for the most part. I've been working specifically with higher ed for about 3 years now. We're the front end of the event portion of it, so the end that people are actually engaging with events, buying their tickets, and then for the event organizers doing that follow-up. So for us, we're just all about trying to connect students, faculty, alumni with the right events.
Is anybody using the event module in Evertrue today? Excellent. So Eventbrite is the engine by which get out the events, and then we'll start to show you who those people are, match them automatically in Evertrue so that you can then see who's checking in, who's RSVPing, who's checked in at the booth or at the event. And then subsequently, you can search on those events. So you can see who's been going to a number of soccer events and engage with that. So what we were finding when we were talking to higher ed, people in higher ed was, oh, we do all these events, a lot of time, energy, and money, but nothing's happening with that data. It's kind of just like a mark on their profile that it's just another event. We wanted to use something like Eventbrite, which is the Eventbrite is the engine for higher ed for events, and take that and make it actionable because you're spending so much time, energy, and money on it. It's been a wonderful integration. We have a number of schools that are using it today and hope to continue that trend. So you would be talking to Randy. Mara.
I'm Mara Zepeda. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Switchboard. Prior to Switchboard, I got my start in higher ed here at Harvard, and then I was an economic reporter for National Public Radio. And so my background is in listening, and that's what Switchboard helps campuses to do. We help them to listen better. The thesis statement of the last 2 days, as I'm sure all of you can agree, is this shift towards personalization and meeting real, unique needs and listening better. And so that's what our company does. We do that in 2 ways. First, we provide coaching and training and strategy for teams to teach them how to listen. It turns out it's not all that easy and it's not all that intuitive. And then second, we have a software platform that you can then implement to listen to your community better and then to help them connect with the resources they're looking for. So generally, you can think of what you all offer as a two-sided marketplace of opportunities. There are haves and needs. People are looking for jobs, internships, mentorship, friends in new cities, and so our Switchboard software platform makes those connections easier.
And I've known Mara now for 2-3 years, maybe more.
God,
4?
5.
5 years now.
Yeah.
Wow. Every number I put out there. And when I saw what they were doing at a number of schools that I'm passionate about, and also as an alumni myself, the ability to just ask and offer, which opens up the opportunity for so many things. It's not just mentoring. It's not just the opportunity for internships, but it's then also like a ride somewhere. It's these connections. It's like a mattress that somebody's buying in San Francisco and giving to another alum in this private school ecosystem. When we at Evertrue we're thinking about how does engagement continue to move forward, and seeing a lot of the vendors in the space really throwing the kitchen sink at engagement and behind firewalls and passwords. Switchboard has done the opposite, and they just let alums engage in the way that they want to be engaged, and all the stuff that you want to have happen happens. And what we've seen in Evertrue is that then you bring that data down, put it on a profile through interactions yet again, make it searchable. We're finding that those people are so much more engaged, and we have a joint case study coming out with Santa Clara in the near future here. But these people are so much more engaged in their own personal lives together, again, across disparate networks and places, but the school is the unifying factor, and people feel comfortable sharing things. It's I like to say it's kind of like a Craigslist for your community. And I don't know if you make that cringe. Is that cringe-worthy? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's opportunity. Ultimately, you all are in the business of creating mobility and opportunity, and each of you has different campuses with different needs, and so it's about surfacing those needs and then meeting them.
Yeah, and so to have a gift officer have in their hands when they're going on a trip these interactions between alumni on this platform, they're going to have so much more knowledge. I love a like on Facebook, but you're just looking at much more in-depth conversations. And so that's what we love about Switchboard and how they've continued to push in that side of the game. Jordan.
Yeah, I'm Jordan Pratt. I work at Emma. We're a software and services company, and we focus on email marketing, so specifically that channel of marketing. And Emma's platform gives you the ability to store your subscribers in there, store your contacts, and send out emails, design emails. Gives you a really easy editor to put that together. It's quite capable, effective, and easy to use, and that's why a lot of people in higher ed love Emma so much. On the other side, we have a professional services team. So a lot of universities, they have a ton of resources, and what our professional services team will do is we'll work alongside them and partner with them, design templates, and really help them get the most out of that email channel of marketing.
So Emma is the one for me that I'm just so excited because we've talked about Emma and our collaboration for the last year. Jordan and I have been working together. We've been working with the whole Emma team. And we're right now, the development team at Evertrue is building out the auth connection from Evertrue to Emma. And then subsequently, this fall, we'll be launching the first part of this product in Evertrue, where you'll be able to take a list in Evertrue and be able to click a button and send it through Emma. So thinking about segmentation, we think of segmentation on steroids. It's going to allow us to do, as Evertrue users and using Emma is just done email right and is very committed to higher ed in that way. I remember Jordan got off a demo with one of our customers, and she said she wanted to cry because she didn't think email could ever be this easy. Now that seems trivial, but I just like it's one of those things where, yeah, it should be this easy. And that brings me to my next point here, which is this group of companies, we're setting out to disrupt the status quo in higher ed. It has been a one-size-fits-all for the most part on higher ed engagement, on that front end of that alumni engagement. And it doesn't mean when you have one company doing this, or a couple companies doing this, that they're going to be best at each thing. At Evertrue, we recognized that a long time ago. We realized that if we wanted to build a really great events or email engine, that would take a lot of time, energy, and money on our team. And there's places like Eventbrite and Emma that have done it a lot better and are experts. So we can integrate the data, and Evertrue is going to be the hub of that data and allow that data to get where it needs to go. But if you're going to execute on it, we'd much rather have you execute with Jordan and Randy and Mata and Gene, and they're the experts in how to get that out there and engage with it. So we see this as the future here. We are continuing to grow this ecosystem, and with my departure from Evertrue, that is not going to stop. We're very excited to continue that motion, but we have a lot of work to do still with these partners. So I wanted to just let everybody comment here on the panel and also take questions from you all. But if everybody would answer, what should our audience know about your technology, and how is it changing, in your eyes, how is it changing the way it's been done in higher ed for a long time?
I can start there. I think coming from higher education, I saw firsthand, okay, we call people, we send direct mail pieces, we engage with them on social. But to echo a lot of what's been said over the past day, what do we do after that? And how do we catch those people that aren't falling into those channels that we continue to use? We know that if the number of donors is declining, we're just frankly not capturing everybody. And once we do capture them, how do we then engage them even better? And so for us at Hustle, I think being able to offer a direct, authentic, and I think key, and this may just be because I'm a former MGO myself, but respectful way of engaging with people that is truly donor-centric, in that the number one response that we get through text is "thank you for not calling me." I think lets us know that we are doing something that is putting into practice a lot of what we've actually talked about here, and offering something concrete to give our partner institutions to be able to drive those initiatives that they want, the donors want, and now we're able to do.
Preconceived notion in this space around texting is it's for young alumni. You said some stats yesterday. Can you just tell everybody else?
Yes, I think two preconceived notions, actually, if I could add one more, is that it's intrusive and that it is for young alumni. And I think the number one response being "thank you for not calling me," and through just industry-wide research, seeing that 75% of people would choose to be contacted over text as their preferred method of communication with their institution over any other form, just kind of assuages fears right there that it is something that is not welcomed. And then I think when we talk about the populations that we are engaging, so 90% of text messages are opened and read, and 80% of those responses come within the first hour. When we look at young alums, obviously it's a no-brainer. This works really well. And I will be the first to admit, when I joined after working at Stanford, I said, okay, let's just reserve this for our young alum populations. But I don't know about working on it with, for instance, my former prospects that were more in the major gift category. And what we see is we've sent over 100 million text messages at this point, so we have a pretty good idea of what works and what doesn't work. And the age range, 45 to 65, is only 1% to 2% less responsive to text than our millennials. And in some cases, it's actually higher. So that right
really
there, I think, yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Staying in that vein, as far as mobile goes, I think mobile optimization is huge, and I really feel like I'm starting to see a lot more universities move in that direction. If you think about it, like, all you guys are doing all of this really great content, you're sending out these email blast campaigns, text messages, and a lot of times that call to action is going to be mobile-based as well. So for us at Eventbrite, we think a lot about that. So, we're giving people the option to sign up, buy their tickets, even process donations through a mobile responsive and mobile optimized purchase flow.
Great.
Yeah.
Mata?
I think, the question's interesting because I don't think that technology is the answer.
Right.
And that's probably maybe anathema, but I think that technology is not a strategy, and technology is not a path to success, and technology itself does not deliver value. Technology is a tool, and you use that tool, ideally, to deliver value to your constituents. And what that means is that you have to have an understanding of your constituents and value. So I think the John Mulaney piece yesterday was interesting, and I think it's worth us all considering. What he's saying essentially is, I left this space with $120,000 worth of a deficit of value that I expect to see. And so the call to action for all of you is actually quite simple. The moment that you deliver $120,000.01, you've made up the value proposition. It's very straightforward. This is not that complicated. And so what does that mean? It means if you can get someone a job, then you have 2 years of salary, which is $120,000. The traditional path used to be if you could help someone find a spouse. And arguably, that was my value. I met my husband in college. But, I think it really comes down to what is the value that the technology is delivering, and how can you have the highest possible ROI for your community? And what we know is, especially with first-gen low-income students, and especially with the massive shift in demographics on college campuses, the product is mobility. And if the product is mobility, there's a very straightforward path to doing that. And you can do that with a bulletin board, you can do that with a Google form, you can do it with our software. It doesn't really matter. But the key thing that I'd like to emphasize is that it's not technology, it's not the tool, is your team aligned to deliver the value? Do you have a strategy for the value that it is that you're delivering? And then are you choosing a tool that, most importantly, once your office adopts it, you have buy-in so that it will actually be used by your institution? So I think those are the questions that we really think about at Switchboard, and that we help our teams to think about at Switchboard. And I think I'll be the first one to say that, again, technology is not a strategy, and it's not a solution, and it's not a path to success. So there are a lot of things that you can do out there prior to adopting a tool to test and iterate your ideas to see if they're going to catch traction with your community before you make a massive investment. And so I really encourage people to have an experimental and iterative mindset where you're doing what we call in the tech world sprints. Take 3 months, test something out, see if it works, break it, grow out of it. And then, all of us here are here to help you to find the technology solution that might help you to scale the idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And to echo a lot of what has been said, and the idea around developing a strategy. It's not about, technology has a place in that, and certainly your strategy, and it allows you to implement it effectively. And so to kind of echo that, about 4 years ago, a lot of people from Emma sat down and realized that the product, some of our top customers, some of the features that we built around it, it allows you to implement those strategies, easily create emails that's going to save you time, because you're not relying on one person in the university to send out an email. You're able to get in. Pretty much anyone could get in and send an email. You can send that out. You're going to find out who's engaging with your emails. So we know that Emma allows you to track who's opening, who's clicking, what links are they clicking, and that allows you to listen better to your alumni, to your prospects, and whether that's soliciting donations, whether that's you're trying to engage your alumni overall, or just maintain the branding and the brand reception of the university. That's what Emma's going to help you to do. So those are a lot of reasons why Emma has been just appealing to universities and colleges, but certainly the ability to really listen to who's engaging with you via the channel of email, and be able to target them later on. But again, you need a strategy. You need to know, it's great that you have response analytics and you know who's clicking on a specific link, but the question is going to be, what do you do with it? What do you do when you're listening? And so really thinking through that, positioning yourself as a advancement or alumni or development office, and really engaging and delivering value to your alumni in the best way that you can.
Yeah, I think we've got about 10 more minutes here, and I want to make sure that we have plenty of time for questions. but I wanted to echo what everybody's said here, and I think most importantly, we, in the past, in higher ed, have purchased something, again, that typically checks a lot of boxes, and is widely available to like maybe one person in the organization to own and run, and to get that sort of under their belt. And that's one way of thinking about how to get this done. I think what Evertrue has recognized and what all of these folks have recognized is you have to build, from a technology perspective, and again, we're all on that side of the house for the most part, you have to build something that first and foremost is going to engage the constituent, the alum. So we have to meet them there, because if they don't, then none of the data is going to matter anyway, because nobody's going to be opening the emails or clicking on the text or whatever else it is. But then the other thing is we because of that ease of use and that engagement and these guys being focused on those things, the next thing is the person who's actually executing on that in the office, it's got to be super intuitive for them. And so then other people can do it. And then you don't have a gatekeeper that's holding back on doing initiatives, really innovative things, because, well, they're the only person who knows how to do that in the office. So we have to wait and have them as a funnel. So I think what I'm excited, post Brent's conversation yesterday, which talked a lot about what Mada's talking about, and then into today and the future of this, is that you all are sitting here, we're hopeful that you will continue to take a chance with us. And I think to that point as well, Eventbrite it can be free. Hustle, you can start off it doesn't have to be text your entire your alumni base the first day you get it. Emma has opportunity to be you pilot and get going quickly, iterate quickly. And then for Evertrue and Switchboard, these are things what we've both learned through this process is actually for us, it is that buy-in. It is you have to believe in the product and the change that it's going to provide, and get it out there, because that's how our products work. So I think this is a good melding of this kind of stuff. And I think for me, I'd love to have everybody before, or actually, I'd be also fine with actually just jumping into questions too from the audience. But for you all, where do you guys, where do you see this sort of for higher ed this next year in 2018, 2019? What are the shifts, the bigger shifts that you're seeing yourselves in your individual industries? Again, we've been having these conversations for a year now. I think a lot has changed. If we were, from what raised last year to raised this year, and that's going to continue to happen. But any comments on that, and then we'll open up for questions.
I can say specific to texting, actually, something that I have seen is, and that I used 10 plus years ago at the University of Chicago, the first iteration of texting being text to give or blast text messaging, increasingly to a lot of what we've been talking about, being recognized as not being the level of personalization or targeted or respectful communication that we now, I think, as sophisticated development shops recognize as really necessary to engage our donors and prospects and volunteers. And so I think about it as kind of getting away from just this blast thing that looks like it's coming from your dentist's office to a shift to something that mirrors the level of thoughtfulness that we are putting into all of our other channels as well, and that can actually enhance the work that we're doing with our telefund, with our email marketing, with our direct mail pieces too.
Great. Any other comments there?
I think the relationship part of SaaS for us a lot more. The idea, now that we have kind of penetrated into a lot more universities, we've been able to disrupt some of those monolithic systems, and now we're there. Then how do we partner with our end users to work on strategies to figure, so. We have a lot of data. We have a lot of insights on, how events are run, different ways of thinking about it, and that's really working with, a customer success team to try to implement some of these strategies and testing that everyone's doing. So for us, I think it's just really kind of deepening that relationship and using our knowledge along with whatever we can bring into the conversation for our clients.
Yeah, great.
I think the two takeaways from this conference that I have that are two things I'd love to see this room experiment with. Michael opened with two value propositions, right? You have a nostalgia strategy and you have a value-driven strategy. Those are really different strategies, and I'd like to see you all start to talk about these in a different way. The nostalgia strategy is a very specific path that you all know quite a lot about. The value, mobility, connections, what he's talking about, very separate strategy. And that's one that I think deserves a lot more exploration that I would say is the unifying theme of most of this conference. And I think the second thing that I see is the notion of expecting your alumni to come to you. So this notion of they will come to us through the reunions, the chapter events, making a donation. It's this notion of the institution being static and your teams are cajoling and pulling people into these events, and we know how much time and effort that takes. So it's the notion of them coming to you. And then there's a second strategy that we've all talked about, which is you coming to them. And that is what UConn embodies so beautifully. That is what these really leading teams are doing. They're saying, we can have a they come to us strategy over here, but we're going to start to experiment with what it looks like to meet people where they are at. And to do that by starting from a place of curiosity and listening to where they are and what they need, which is what all of these products really offer. And so I think that that is a helpful way to bifurcate some of your strategies and to understand where you're allocating your investment. And not surprisingly, what you start to see is the massive amount of investment that you're sticking on this side of pulling people and of nostalgia, and then this other opportunity that you have to deliver value and to meet people where they're at. It has to be a more balanced investment and experience. And so that's what I'm excited to see this year.
That's great, thanks.
Yeah, as far as what I've been able to see kind of starting over the last year to going into this year, and I think we'll see a lot more of that, is with email specifically, is the idea that you can do a lot more than send one email to everybody, one mass email to everybody. You can do things targeting. You can use dynamic content and send one email, and then a person that lives in Nashville, Tennessee is going to see the Nashville skyline, and someone in New York sees the New York skyline. So you can do all kinds of different things with emails to make it more dynamic, and being able to use the analytics that you receive and target them even further. So I think the idea of email being a really helpful channel and being able to use it in a more targeted way to drive more engagement with your alumni, more donations, and more love for your institution is a big trend that we've been seeing.
The numbers up here have jumped from 5 to 2 to 1, so I'm not actually sure how much time we have. Maybe none, but I'd love to take a couple questions. Yes, Juan.
So Juan from Williams, just wondering around top level, how are you strategizing with your companies around the moment when something becomes noise, right? So I'm thinking email a decade ago or 15 years ago, it was more of a novelty and different people had access to it, and now it's becoming noise. Things are regulated with different providers like Gmail, things going into promotions. Text sounds wonderful, but then what happens in the moment that text medium becomes noise, right? Because it can get inundated by those folks who don't follow that touch point. So I'm wondering if there's any kind of strategic components going on across the industry for folks to handle that, because I think it affects us all.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I would, I just want to plug if anybody is interested in going to a amazing marketing conference, the Emma Marketing Conference is fantastic. And I'm plugging that not only because they're a great partner of ours, but that was the whole conference this year. When I was sitting there and you're hearing from Orange Theory and all these other big brands who are seeing email be something that is becoming a lot of noise, but also the company and the innovation, and again, I think for everybody here, but they're all coming up with incredible new things that are making this they're staying on top of it is what I'm trying to say. And I think that's part of the reason that like it's so beneficial for Evertrue to have these partners, because if we had to stay on top of how to continue to make email really amazing, we just don't have the bandwidth for that. And I'd rather have Emma be the experts in that, and Eventbrite and Hustle and Switchboard and other partners, our partners at Menno and Donor Search and others who, again, are the experts there. And I think what everybody here has said as well is it is now about that, a lot of that segmentation. It is about these mini campaigns. It is about seeing the relevance and getting the channel right in that execution so that it is not noise from Williams. And you guys are really thoughtful about the way that you do it. But I think that's the takeaway for me, is hopefully Evertrue can help you filter that group of people down to the one that's relevant, and then you pick the channels, as Yukon is telling us, and you pick the channel to execute on that, but you're not then doing it 10 other times to the same person on the same week or whatever it is. It's a really, we know who you are, we're engaging you where you are, and we're hoping to have an outcome, but that might be text, it might be email, it might be through events, those kind of things, and you just need to, you all have to be thoughtful and considerate about the way that you go and make that happen. But again, it can all be noise, or it can be really, really targeted, as I said. I don't know if there's more to add there from your perspectives. One more question, or no? One more. Anybody else questions? These guys are all going to be here for a little while. Please come talk to us or to them about their companies. And Evertrue, your customer success manager, can also put you in touch with all of these guys as well. But we're delighted. Thank you so much. And we're excited to see what this next year brings for these partnerships. So thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.